Welcome in, Cowboys Nation, to a Cowboy Game Day live post-game show. Jesse, Holley, Skywalker, still the Cowboys eke out the victory 20-17 on what was a thriller. It felt like from the very first possession all the way to the very end. But sometimes you need your big-time players
Yeah.
to make big-time plays, even when things are crazy. And that's exactly what happened for the Cowboys as they drive down after a wonky botch punt situation, which really wasn't a botch, but they consider it one. They tie the score up. Dallas gets the ball back. They drive down the field, get the go-ahead score for 20-17. And soon as they're talking, Jesse, I'm not sure if you heard this, but soon as they're talking, hey, Michael Parsons has been real quiet in this game. Almost at the very end of them saying that, he makes the biggest sack of the night, the only sack for the Cowboys.
You rang.
Right, exactly. And what happens the very next play? The pressure gets to Justin Herbert and Stephon Gilmore, who it was a tough game for Stephon Gilmore, but he is considered one of your big-time players. He makes a big-time play. Bang, 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 game's over. Cowboys move to 4-2 heading into the bye week. There's a lot to get into detail-wise throughout the week, but Jesse, I'm not going to lie to you. As crazy as this felt, or as it was, it does feel good to get out of this thing 4-2 heading into the bye. Not going to lie to you.
Absolutely. And when you watch the guys after the game was over, you see Dak Prescott on the sideline. He's saying, "Thank you." You see Mike McCarthy. You see Michael. I mean, this was a relief for all these guys on the football field. What they went through last week with the Niners game. They needed this
Yeah.
victory in the worst way. And you saw the guys. It was that moment of just the last thing you talk about, you and I not wanting to have to deal with covering this team for 2 weeks after a dub, two losses in a row. These players don't want to have to
No.
deal with two losses in a row heading into the bye week, not really getting a chance to enjoy your time away from football because it's the constant chatter about what this football team is. And winning cures a lot of things. Will, I promise you, in the locker room, in the media, in the front office, in the coach's office. So getting this victory after what happened a week ago and heading into the bye is definitely a sigh of relief. You saw it on multiple players' faces. You could just tell they were just so excited that they weren't leaving this stadium with the loss, but more so getting on that plane with the dub. It feels so much better when you get a chance to fly home knowing that you'll have a couple days off leading into the week with the dub on your record.
Yes, indeed. This is the BT Furnishings post-game show. The post-game show, obviously, if you're looking to get any type of furniture, you want to head over to BT Furnishings. They make shopping fun, fast, and easy, from mattresses to furniture in your house and even decor. BT Furnishing is a one-stop furniture shop. They'll buy more, save more, sale going on right now. Spend $999, you save $100. You spend $19.99, you save $300. And while supplies last, trust me, this is the week you want to go in there for the Skywalker special. You'll get the recliner sofa and love seat, plus a free recliner for $9.99. And I know, Jesse, everybody feeling good about getting a recliner after this one. So if you're looking for quality furniture at an amazing price, stop in one of the locations today in Arlington, Dallas, Garland, Plano, or go to btfurnishings.com to furnish every need in your home. BT Furnishings, they make shopping fun, fast, and easy. Let's kind of get into both sides of the ball here, because I feel like the offense and the defense were making some big plays. And this was a game, you talked about it last week, and we were on opposite ends of this spectrum here, where you got to put on the suit, Superman or whatnot. And I said,
take off the suit.
Take off the suit. I'm sorry. Step inside the booth, loosen up the tie.
Superman is alive.
I said, ain't no damn Superman against that dang on 49ers. Ain't happening. Okay? But in this game, Dak just kept making those plays. He just kept making a play when it looked like it wasn't there. And I don't think there was a bigger play to be made than in the fourth quarter to start the fourth, if I'm not mistaken. He steps upside the pocket, rolls right, and finds Tony Pollard just leaking, gets it to TP. And TP, for all the struggles that he had in this game, and it wasn't great. Like the blocking wasn't great, the running wasn't great. It just wasn't a great game on the ground. He breaks a tackle and goes 60 yards. I think he scores right there. It might have been earlier in the game, maybe last year TP, everybody was saying. But nonetheless, They punched it in, and I feel like that was the turning point. And then he did it again. By the way, third down, Tony Pollard finds, I think it was Derwin James blitzing. Fantastic blitz pickup. Nobody's going to talk about this, but TP's been an amazing pass blocker this year. And that play doesn't happen if he doesn't pick up the blitz. Dak Prescott retreats, floats it up, finds Brandon Cooks for a touchdown that puts the Cowboys ahead. I think those two plays right there were the biggest plays of the game up until obviously the final drive for the Cowboys defense.
Yeah, we talk about all the time, man, and I know at least I do, when you talk about the quarterback, especially the quarterbacks who make the big money. And a lot of times I don't pay you for the 5-yard hitch. I don't pay you for the 14-yard curl. It's in these moments you define yourself. It's in these moments that I need you to make the play. And when you want to be talked about as one of the great quarterbacks in this league, is that you have to find that play, right? The spin out, and I'm rolling, and I'm rolling, and I'm rolling. Oh, there's Tony Pollard, and I dump it off to him, right? Without Dak Prescott being strong and athletic, that's a sack.
Yeah.
But he keeps his feet, keeps the wherewithal to keep his eyes down the field. And then on the play where you see the touchdown to Brandon Cooks, what does he do? He retreats. He's waiting for the play to come up and retreat. Then I throw one up to Brandon Cooks for a touchdown. Those are game-defining plays that you want your quarterback to be able to make. Trust and believe. On the other side, Kellen Moore would have loved for Justin Herbert to be able to step into one of those throws or make that game-defining play towards the end of the game. But he got sacked and he threw an interception. That's the opposite end of the spectrum. So for Dak Prescott to step back up in this game and make those key and critical plays throughout the course of the game, you can always go back and say, that was a play, and it led to you winning this football game. I think Dak Prescott early on, an 18-yard scamper for a touchdown, finally running with the football. He had a couple plays like that today where he ran with the football, got a 15-yard penalty earlier in the game. There were multiple things that you saw him do throughout this game. It all wasn't clean. It all wasn't great. It wasn't a historic performance, but what it was necessary. He did the necessary things in the necessary moments of those things needed to happen to pull out a 3-point victory for his team. We don't care at the end of the day what the score is. It's at the end of the day, did you pull out the victory? You can always correct and you can always adjust and you can always practice on those other things, but it's much more easier to do it after a dub than after a loss.
Ironically, I think this was the same exact score 2 years ago. The Cowboys went to the same exact stadium, 20-17, and almost was a similar game, a very, very tough game where both teams were driving but couldn't punch into the end zone a bunch of times. Dak finished 21 for 30, 272, a touchdown, a rush for 40 yards, another touchdown, over 300 total yards, 2 touchdowns in this game, and he made a ton of plays after ton of plays. He has some help, obviously, when targeting CeeDee Lamb, Brandon Cooks, or Tony Pollard. He was 7-14, 15, 13, looks like 16 for 17? 17 for 18, Jesse.
Yeah.
17 for 18 when targeting CeeDee Lamb, Tony Pollard, or Brandon Cooks in this game for a touchdown.
Yeah, I had the stat written down. He was 11 for 153 and a touchdown when targeting Cooks and Lambs. Bottom line is, don't throw the ball to Michael Gallup and you have a great day.
That's what happened. Michael Gallup, 10 freaking targets, 3 receptions, 24 yards. And we'll definitely be having conversations about him throughout the week.
I don't want to be that guy that's like, if you gave me 10 targets right now at 40 years old.
Hey, Jesse.
No. Listen to me. Jesse. I may be in the intensive care unit tomorrow.
Jesse, stop.
If you give me 10 targets today, I'm giving you more than 24 yards. I just am. If you give me 10 targets today, I'm giving you more. Trust me, you're gonna have to visit me tomorrow during visiting hours at the hospital at UCLA, or I might be able to make it back on the plane and be at Baylor Scott and White somewhere.
You be at Baylor Scott and White, right next to the Frisco.
Right next to the joint. 10 targets, 3 catches, 24 yards. A 40-year-old can give you that right now.
Yeah, you can't go 30% for 24 yards on 10 touchdowns. Cannot do it. But you know who didn't do that? CeeDee Lamb, 7 targets, 7 receptions, a buck 17, and just constantly making big clutch plays in this game. We kind of talked about this in the pregame. I figured they would go to him. They would target him a lot in this game. I figured he'd have a better game. This secondary welcomed that. And look, after a situation, it happened in Cincinnati. I'm open.
It happens everywhere.
Right.
It happens
I'm
everywhere.
Throw me the ball.
It happens in football. It happens in basketball.
Yeah.
It happens in life. If you complain about something that they'll go, okay, it's almost here, man, damn. It's like that. It's like, man, here, man, damn. Like it's that type of situation.
There's a saying I always hear about like relationships, right? Where people will only do to you what you let them, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if CD just continues to go out there and let this play or that play be ran, or Dak not look for me or whatever, right? Then it'll continue to happen. So you do have to speak up sometimes. I'm glad it didn't get too crazy in the media, and enough was said to where, hey, look, we gotta target CeeDee Lamb, right? And that's what happened. And they still got to figure some things out offensively, and we'll break that all down definitely.
But let me say one thing about the CeeDee Lamb Michael Gallup comparison, right? You talk about 17 targets between the two of them. Again, 10 targets for Michael Gallup for 3 catches for 24 yards.
Yeah.
We can laugh and we can joke about it, but when you look at it, and we'll watch the tape in the morning. You may watch it even tonight. I'm not. I'm going to bed after we get off on this. You like to stay up a little bit later than I do, but sometimes, and this is the part where you're like, come on, Michael Gallup, because the defense will say, we're going to take away everything else and give you that, right? And so for Dak, it sometimes comes off as, I may not want to go here, but dog, like this is exactly where I'm supposed to go. And I know people are saying, well, why not just put CeeDee Lamb in that spot? Well, if you put CeeDee Lamb in that spot, they're going to just double it from that spot. You know what I'm saying? So it's one of those things where you go, why does he get 10 targets? But you also look at it and go, Michael Gallup, you have to be so much better, because teams are now just basically saying, we have absolutely no fear in number 13. Like, he poses absolutely no fear in our hearts, and we're going to just do to him, man him up, he's going to be he is the mouse in the house for the defense. They look at him and goes, we're not worried about him. He can't separate. He can't get off press. And I know why the targets went to him, because the defense dictated that. They said, we're going to double over here, give coverage over here, and not let you go over here. And the easy plays that go to where Michael Gallup is at, he has to be better. If this team is going to
team is going
to get anywhere near where they think they're going to be, and that's deep into the playoffs and potentially somewhere, if he's going to be on the football field, if you're going to put him in uniform and you're going to play him, you're going to see more and more and more situations where teams are saying, we're going to give him man-to-man targets, and we're going to let you throw the ball at him 10 times, and we're going to live with the fact that he can't beat us. And when you play good enough teams, that might cost you football games. So either you have to figure out a way, and I don't know what the answer is, to get Michael Gallup to understand that he has to get off press and create separation, or get him the hell off the football field.
Yep. The latter for me. And I'm not saying like completely, because I still think there's red zone, situations like that, jump balls or whatnot. But I know Tolbert, and I kind of got over the situation with Tolbert. He was kind of in a weird situation. He didn't know if the ball got tipped or whatever, or hit. So I'm not really trying to pin that on him too much. But I am interested to see a more explosive player like Tolbert, who has quicker feet. I think who can be more explosive out of his routes. I don't know if he can beat press or whatnot, because we haven't seen it. But I'm interested in seeing it, if that makes sense. Because if you look at a lot of his throws this year to him, it's all contested. Everything's, and I understand he only has like 2 or 3 routes, but it is what it is. You still got to be good in those routes, and it just, aside from 2 games, it's been a struggle getting him involved. And even in those games, you had contested catches and whatnot, or play breakdown and whatever. But I'd like to see that moving forward. Again, we'll be diving into that more often. But 7 for 17 for CeeDee Lamb, 6 for 80 for TP on 7 targets. Was better, obviously, in the past game, and the big one was a 60-yarder with the completion. Like I said, one of the biggest plays of the game. I thought he was better today in the passing game, both receiving and blocking, and the run game was just nowhere to be found today, aside from Brandon Cooks, who had a what do you call it, a jet sweep for 14 yards. I think Rico had a 7-yard gain earlier. TP had a 7-yard gain. The longest run by a running back today was 7 yards. And Dak Prescott led your team with 40 yards on the ground. This started to look like a little bit of what we were doing with Kellen: shotgun run, shotgun pull. Everybody just run between the A and B gaps. I don't like that. You saw, I think the longest run you have from TP was a pitch to the outside. Like,
yeah,
I just don't like how we're using those guys right now. And I think once we get to the bye week and we break all this down, I think they need to do something about how they are utilizing this backfield. I'll continue to pound the table. You cannot be basic in how you run the ball. You just can't do it in today's game. And look at the other side of the ball. The Chargers weren't that great at stopping the run, but they held you to 3.7 yards per carry, and that's being generous because Brandon Cooks and Dak, because you just weren't creating enough on the other side, and then you didn't put your guys in best situations. TP on the outside, Rico Dowdle running between the A gaps. Screen game to Rico Dowdle or TP. TP did get a screen for a decent game, but I didn't see any of that. I don't like how they're using these guys. I think we need to kind of reevaluate that once we get into the break, Jesse, because I think you got a talented backfield, but I don't know that we know how to use them, almost like we were worried about how they were going to use Brandon Cooks, and he came up clutch today, though. So that's kind of my spiel on the run game there.
Yeah, and Mike McCarthy, for whatever it's worth, maybe he doesn't, maybe he does, but this is the moment in time where teams can go back and especially coaches can go back and self-evaluate, right? You have this break with the bye coming up. You're able to go out there and self-evaluate. And I hope, and I really do hope, for Freaky Mike's sake, that he can honestly have a serious, honest assessment of what he was the first half of this year, and then be able to self-evaluate and go, here's where I have to be better as the head coach and the play caller. And you'll see, I hope that you'll see a market change on the other side of this bye with more creative runs, more creative passing, getting guys involved, maybe giving some other guys some opportunity to come out there and showcase what they can actually do. Tony Pollard, Jalen Tolbert, and see if this is an opportunity for you to open this thing up even more. Because let's be honest, this offense hasn't been what we thought it was going to be.
Absolutely not.
When we were in training camp, you were out in LA watching it here and just seeing all of it. I thought this was going to be a wide open and explosive offense. We saw it happen in training camp. And then it's like we get into the season and all of a sudden everything that we saw in August and late July and August and September, late July and August, when we got to September, it just kind of went into a bag and went into storage. It was like, hey, They left that bag at training camp. It was like when training camp was over, they left that bag in Oxnard and they brought a different bag into the season. So hopefully now that we're through the first a portion of the season for the Cowboys, they can head into this bye, give themselves an opportunity to self-evaluate, reevaluate, and then when they come out to get ready for the Rams, that bag is opened back up and you see more creativity from the offensive side of the ball.
Yeah, I think Mike is going to have to look in the mirror, I think, and be honest with himself, like you said, and possibly think about making a change within that staff. Possibly saying, "Hey, Shotty," and I'll detail this a little bit more. Hey, Shotty, I can't juggle these two things. It is clear he cannot juggle these two. The end of the first half debacle, some of the things we were seeing and just throughout the game in general, I think is clear. And then, like I said, the beginning, you said we left the bag at camp. We brought half of that bag in the first couple games. We saw some things. And then it just stopped. And it just progressively got worse and worse and worse. And there's going to need to be some type of honest conversation about the structure of this. Because I think if this is what we're going to do, you're just making it more difficult on these players. On everybody, man.
I got to be honest with you, brother. If Mike McCarthy at this point in time gives up the play calling duties,
he done?
Get rid of him. Pack him up.
Yeah, that's a conversation.
Because what's going to end up happening is, basically Jerry Jones is going to say, I ran off a guy that I actually liked for you.
To call plays. That's true.
right? I ran off a guy who I wanted to see blossom, and I wanted to say that I was the one that found this whiz kid because you came to me and said it's time for me to call the plays myself. I believe I can do a better job. So after this break, if you hand this thing over to Brian Schottenheimer, if I'm Jerry Jones and I'm Stephen
That's
Jones,
fair.
one, I'm pissed. I am pissed because Kellen was their guy. Kellen was absolutely their guy, and for him to be gone, and then now you figure out 6 games in that you don't want this duty anymore. Then I'm pissed, and you and I both know the Joneses, they can hold a little bit of personal grudge on certain things. But if that happens to me, you have to pack Mike McCarthy up because at this point in time, you're no good to me. Then I might as well go ahead and elevate Dan Quinn, the head coach, allow Brian Schottenheimer to be the offensive coordinator, and then we go from there.
Man, I would love to further have this conversation because you're right. You're not wrong. I don't believe in this situation, but this also goes back to the things I say. Hey, if it's best for the team, then you do what's best for the team, right? As long as you're winning, doing it. But there's also the other side where if you do that and you lose, you're right. They're probably going to just get rid of him. But this was called the what? The Kellen Moore Bowl, right? And when you flip the other side, hey, not that great day for Kellen Moore, was it? 17 points, and let's be completely freaking honest, 7 of them was gifted to you, if we're being real. Between penalties and between the muff punt on the other side, the defense absolutely stifled Kellen Moore's offense. And again, Jesse, we said this at the beginning of the game, just weather the storm.
Yeah.
Just weather the storm. And he's going to say, Herbert, carry me. Herbert, go win the game. And I don't care how good your quarterback is. I've been saying this for years. You still need to make sure you have some quality designs or quality plays or game management or game flow or whatever. I'm not a Chargers fan. I wasn't necessarily dissecting each and every play, but I can tell you this is now 3 games, and all 3 of their losses, they've had an opportunity to go win the ball game. And guess what happened? They failed. And that is something that was a situation throughout that tenure there. But it wasn't just because of his play calling. The Cowboys defense stepped up and made some big plays. Deron Bland was fantastic tonight. Almost kind of, dropped that interception. And I was texting my brother like, bro, I don't feel good about that drop pick. Next play, they do that. But all good. He made 2 big plays, that one, and then the one in the end zone also could have been an interception as well. Damone Clark was everywhere, led the team in tackles. Marquise Bell showed up today. His best game since week 1.
Player of the game to me was Marquise Bell.
Yes.
Hands down.
Osa also, I think, needs to get some credit too. Osa Digizua was huge in this game. He continues to be that 3-tech that we've all been waiting to see since Jay Ratliff, in my opinion. He's the best Cowboys 3-tech since Jay was here. And then you had your big horses, DeMarcus Lawrence getting in some pressures, hitting the ball and whatnot, drawing holding penalties. Micah Parsons, while it wasn't the greatest game for Micah, when you're getting double and triple team, that's when other people have to step up. And there was only 1 sack on the day, but it was the most important sack of the night. It was the most important sack of the night, and it came from Micah Parsons. And the Cowboys, kudos to them, man. They kept pressuring and pressuring and pressuring. And you said this on Twitter. Finally, the world gets to see a fantastic quarterback who most people believe better than Dak Prescott any goddamn way.
Right.
Missed, and he missed constantly. I mean, he was missing wide open dudes.
He missed 2 touchdowns.
2 touchdowns.
Easily. I mean, he had 2 touchdowns to Keenan Allen that he missed.
All night, man. And that's because I think the pressure, Jesse, just was always in his head. Think about this. I think Dak had, and a lot of people get on Dak's pocket awareness. I think he had better awareness and command and control and ease of the game. And he was sacked 5 times. Yeah. He was sacked 5 times in this game. I think he outplayed Justin Herbert in this game. Again, Herbert could have had easily 3 interceptions in this one, finished with 1. And you got to give it to the defense for going out there and putting the pressure on him. And Dan, I'll give it to Dan too, because at the end, he turned that thing up.
Yeah, he brought it from different areas. You saw sometimes it was J-Ron, sometimes it was Donovan Wilson. He brought Micah from the second level. To kind of put a bow on that last statement you made, talking about Kellen Moore, while you just weather the storm, it's moments like you get down to that moment and all of a sudden you decide to yourself, I'm trying to go win it. I'm trying to go make a game-winning play, and I'm going to single cover Micah Parsons. Like, that's just to me, that's just bad OCing. Like, if I'm going to make this run, I have to commit to blocking number 11. Like,
Yeah.
I do. I have to keep him quiet as long as I possibly can. And then you gave up that opportunity and you got sacked. And then ultimately you did the same thing again. The pressure collapsed the pocket. And then you had Stephon Gilmore step up and make an interception. But kudos all the way around. Just being able to claw out a victory. Like that's football, guys. Like, I know that what we saw earlier in the year, we had some blowouts
That
and
wasn't
games
normal.
over at halftime. That's great, and that's fun. The stress is not on you in the second half of a football game. But this is football, right? It's not a blowout for us. It's not us blowing folks out and folks blowing us out. It's that in between. It's that moment where you have to kind of go drive for drive, play for play. That's how this game is usually, week in and week out. Trust me, I love the blowouts. When I can sit back at halftime and have me a little strawberry shortcake ice cream
But
and
that
not have
ain't
to worry about the stress of the game in the second half. But these are the type of games that you have to win. You got to figure it out. You have to find a way. And while everything may not always be good, you need your guys to step up. And tonight, Dak stepped up in critical moments of the game. CeeDee Lamb, I
saw them things.
saw the bicuspids. I saw him. I saw him.
Hey.
I saw the ears today. You wasn't off 40 yards by yourself. You wasn't doing all the extraness on the football field. Nah, you was in your bag. You was doing this. And I saw the chiclets on the screen. Michael Parsons, you continue to come, and no matter how much pressure they gave you, pause. No matter how much pressure they gave you, you continue to be relentless in your pursuit of the quarterback, and then you finally got him. Stephon Gilmore, you didn't have a good day, my boy. You were getting worked out there a lot today. But guess what? When the moment counted the most, you came up with a game-clinching interception. Those are the type of things that you have to have in a football game. And ain't always going to look good. Cowboys, again, very sloppy offensively, defensively when it comes to the penalties. 11 penalties, over 100 yards. That's not what you want, right? That could have been the story of the game if they ended up on the losing end.
They usually do. When that happens, they usually lose.
You usually do. When you talk about you lost the sack battle, you lost the penalty battle, the only thing that you had in your favor that you didn't turn the football over from the offense perspective, right? You tied 1-1 with the muff punt situation. That was a weird type of deal. I don't really blame Tober for that. I understand where he was thinking. He didn't know whether it hit somebody or not, so he's just trying to make a play on the football. It didn't turn out in their favor. But penalties and sacks and then the mistakes here and there, you just got to find a way to win a football game. And that's what you want to see, because that's going to be more of the realistic style of play that you have in these games going forward against the Rams, against the Eagles. You're going to have to just figure out ways to win, how to win football games. And tonight you saw it on display, and they came away with a 3-point victory.
Yeah, 4 of your first 5 games, 5 games were blowouts, including one you were in, like on the bad side, losing side of it, right? So you just never had a true game script except for week 3 and then this one. So it was imperative that you got out of here, whether it was a scrappy victory or whatever, with the dub. And because if you look back on this, right, say we get down to week 16 or whatever, no one's going to care about, how you won in week 6. You want to get these dubs right now, and then you want to start playing your best football later. While, yes, there's a ton to clean up, and that's something that you need to get, we'll discuss, like I said, throughout this next couple of weeks. But you need to get these victories now, because teams between weeks 1, I think about 7 or 8-ish, are figuring out who they are as they're moving forward, because you can say who you want to be and who you are during the camp, but once you get punched in the mouth, who are you really? Because we've seen San Francisco start off 1-3 last year. They do what they do. Cincinnati Bengals, they did the same thing. Kansas City Chiefs lose opening. It's going to be times where you face turmoil, especially normally early in the season. It's about how do you deal with that and still maintain your identity or form an identity. So by the time you get to December, right, November, December, you are just flowing. There is none of this, hey, we got to do this, we got to do that, we got to do this. No, this is who we are, and we play this style of football every week. And Dallas is still figuring that out, but they did walk away with this victory here. You talked about a couple of the big-time players. Michael Parsons, 2 tackles. He had 3 quarterback hits. The biggest one obviously came with the sack, and you're absolutely right on Gilmore. Was not a great day, but you made the play when you need to make it. And sometimes you need the ball to bounce your way. Deron Bland twice, I believe, bit on the double moves, and they didn't complete the pass. I mean, why?
The spirit of Trayvon Diggs lives.
Oh,
Trayvon Diggs lives.
everybody get hit with that damn double move, bro.
The spirit of Trayvon Diggs lives in Deron Bland.
He got hit up too in the preseason too, and I was like, Lord, please don't let nobody see that preseason tape. Please, you know what I'm saying? But he missed it twice.
Twice.
You don't see that normally from a quarterback of his caliber, but he missed it twice. I'm still kind of shocked about it. But hey, when it's all said and done, and we're on to week 10, 11, 12, we're not really thinking about that because it didn't happen. You walked away with the victory. And then in closing, in regards to the units, shouts out to the special teams. You know, Brandon Aubrey just continues to just. I'm starting to get to that point where, oh, Brandon Aubrey's out there. I'll be back and we'll get a drink. I'm at that point. This dude is Aubrey automatic right now. I mean, and he's just ice in his veins. No big deal. Go out there, make the field goal. Brian Anger, he had 52.3 yard average punt, and you're very familiar with special teams. You were one of our better special teams players when we were here. 52 yards per average, 56 long. I mean, Brian Anger, we were pinned back a lot in this game, and he helped push that ball back downfield and flip things. So shouts out to the special teams. The only problem is the Jalen Tolbert thing, but after calming down.
Yeah, when you watch the Jalen Tolbert situation, remember he's a gunner, right? Yeah. So he's coming. I'm sorry, he's a jammer. So he's trying to hold up the jammer, and all he sees, he's the one that actually they pushed him into Tolbert. Into Tolbert. So when he gets up, what does he see? He sees Turpin down. He sees a loose ball out there and a bunch of people running toward it frantically. In his mind, he's saying, "Oh crap!
Yeah,
it must have hit me. It must have hit Turpin. I need to go jump on it." And he made a careless mistake. I don't want to say I blame him for that one. It's just one of those weird, wild plays that happen to you. Also, Brandon Aubrey is the only kicker left. And this is not a jinx. This is kind of an applaud. Only kicker left in the National Football League that has not missed a field goal. He has an extra point missed, but he has not missed a field goal yet. He's 16 for 16 this NFL season. So what was once a absolute terror in training camp, we were like, oh boy, what are we going to be as a kicker, has turned out to be absolutely fantastic so far this year for the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah, unfortunately, we've been kind of scorned by Maher, so it's like, because Maher was 90-some% in the regular season, excuse me, and we saw what happened in the post. But I don't know. I don't know that I feel like that would happen because we've seen Maher kind of break down a bit in Dallas, so see him break down wasn't a surprise. Aubrey kind of just like, hey, what's up, NFL? I'm a soccer player. I never really played in college, XFL. I'm just kind of here, just figuring this thing out.
I got nothing to lose at this point. I'm going to go out and kick with confidence.
So kick with confidence. Exactly.
And shout out to the Cowboy fans. Like when you watch this game, you heard the contingency of Cowboy fans that were at this football game. And it's usually a heavy pro Cowboy crowd when they go to LA. Yes. I remember playing back in the day when they were the Chargers, and it felt like a home game most of the times out there. So they were pretty thick out there in SoFi. Jimmy Johnson was there. Michael Irvin was there. I mean, LeBron James was there. Even though he said he's not a Cowboy fan.
Hove was there.
But he was there. He was there. Oh, yeah, Hove was there. But shout out to the Cowboy fans that came out and supported the Cowboys, made them feel at home a little bit today at SoFi.
Yeah, man. Look, I know this was not the greatest, but you can't tell me you didn't want to go into the bye week 4-2 Cowboys Nation. You can't tell me you didn't want to, no matter how it looks. Somebody hit me up on Twitter earlier and was like, hey, man, what's your prediction? I said, I'm out the prediction business. The Cowboys need to win, and I don't give a damn if it's 3-2. They need to win, okay? Not for them. For me. for me. Because I ain't want to have to deal with you heathens for the next 2 weeks off of an L. I'm going to still have to deal with y'all because there was some things that was sloppy out there. But it is what it is. We'll discuss it all. Y'all know how we are. Win, lose, or draw. We are here for it all, Jesse. That's my mantra.
We don't need this. We don't need the support group after this week. We don't need the fellow Cowboy content creators support group after this.
It was close.
This dub. A loss, would have definitely sent us into a place where I would have had to have my therapist come in and do a group session for us on the house
I'd
to get
appreciate that.
all our mentals and dentals.
I'd have sent her a super chat for just being there for for me.
Him,
That was
him,
him. My
said
bad. Him.
Dr. J. Don't play my boy. My boy, he takes care of me. Dr. J, baby, just my dude.
I'm gonna have to holler at you because I've been looking for one since I came down this mug. Because boy, y'all drive me crazy. No, I'm just playing. So the Cowboys walk away 20-17. Post-game show presented by BT Furnishings. Tomorrow for my Cowboys custom player of the game, I'm probably it's gonna be a little difficult. Usually you know who it is, but I think there were a couple plays made by some of these players, and so you have to tune in tomorrow morning for that on the morning show. Jesse, let them know where you'll be this week discussing all of this, which again going into the bye week with a dub.
Yeah, absolutely. Tomorrow morning, I'll be with my boy Jeff Kavanaugh on the Believe Network discussing this game. Then I'll be over at DallasCowboys.com hanging with the boys. I'll also be putting in major work with Unfiltered with Jesse Holley this week. I'll talk about this game and more, break this game down and so many other things. So make sure you guys like, subscribe, do all that kind of stuff. You can hit me up on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Mr. Fourth and Long. All of those places. Unfiltered with Jesse Holley is on Apple, Spotify, YouTube. So tell a friend to tell a friend.
Hey.
Pretty soon, when you and Vach are in town, we're gonna have you and Vach on.
I'd love to do that.
Yeah, of course.
I was just about to say, do not gloss over Unfiltered. Do not, because what's going to end up happening. I don't know the company that the channel it's on. Shouts out to them. If you want to Fanatic View. Hey, Fanatic View. I don't know what you're paying, my man, but you better hurry up because that podcast is gonna get snatched up real fast. It's gonna get snatched up real quick. And if you're not tuning into that Unfiltered, you are missing out. So make sure y'all definitely support my big homie, my big bro, on this podcast journey. It's just the beginning, man. You're killing it, bro.
Thank you, bro. I appreciate it, man. Thank you so much.
You can find me tomorrow morning, like I said, A to Z Sports in the morning. We will be not necessarily breaking it down in detail, but we'll be discussing in detail as we talk it through with the fans. Then Wednesday we'll obviously take a look at the film as well. And during that same time period, I'll be on Vosh Lombardi live show, who we probably still live right now. So make sure y'all check him out as we end this thing here. So a lot to discuss this week, but I'd rather it be discussed off of a victory. I say that a lot, but again, when I look around the league, and Jesse, I don't think we do this enough. When you look around the league, it's a strange league this year. It's to start off. It usually is every year. But it's very interesting, to say the least, especially coming out of this week after some of the things that we saw. So you were fortunate to get this dub because Philly loses, 49ers lose. You stay in that race because the Lions obviously got the victory. So, teams are 5-1, 5-1. You remain right there at 4-2. And obviously we got a big rooting guide for all those teams to lose next week. But you, at the very least for this week, you remain right behind them. Now, in play, you may not be there. But the record, you are right there right now behind these guys, one game behind. Now you got to clean these things up as we move forward.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the great thing about the NFL season, because it really is a week by week proposition.
Yep.
We
saw league. I say it all the time.
It's definitely a week to week league, and not wishing injuries, but things happen throughout the season. These lows, these highs, these lows, and what you want to be able to do is just be able to position yourself both physically, health-wise, and also record-wise, that when it gets down to the nitty-gritty of these things, that you're still in play. Because once you make it into the postseason, it's anything can go. We see that right now with our Texas Rangers. It doesn't matter how it ends, but once you get into that playoff picture, now anything is possible. So for the Cowboys, getting this victory, it keeps the camaraderie good. It keeps the atmosphere positive. It keeps everybody happy. Because the last thing you need, and I said this before, and I didn't mean it because you felt it. There was this bubble that felt like it was ready to burst of negativity had this football team lost 2 games in a row. Some fingers would have been pointed. We would have had the conversation, and it really would have been a conversation of, well, Mike, maybe it is time for you to hand the play calling duties over, not by choice, but also by productivity or lack thereof on the football field and not being able to get wins. We'll also say, Dan Quinn, we high praised you all year long, and this defense hasn't been showing up when it needs to show up the most. So when you win these football games, you kind of put that stuff to bed a little bit. I don't think it necessarily all goes away, because you can go out there after the bye and lay an egg against the Rams, and we'll be right back here again talking about what happened, what went wrong. But for the time being, a win is a win is a win is a win, and you take that, you enjoy that. For these guys, I know some fans are saying, you should be in the film room. Trust and believe you me, this is needed. When these guys go somewhere, as long as they're not getting in trouble, this is a moment in time where you need it physically, mentally, emotionally. I need to step away just for a moment in time. It's for 2 or 3 days. If you see him in Cabo, or you see him in Miami, or you see him, as long as they're not getting themselves in any trouble, if they're getting away from this game and allowing themselves to recharge mentally and physically, it's okay. It is okay.
Yeah, people, they're not robots.
They're not robots. They're not machines. These men spend more time in that building than they do with their natural family. So that's wives, kids, girlfriends, baby mamas, side pieces, whatever they have, right? They spend so much time in that building. I'm talking 10, 12, 14-hour days. By the time they get home, their kids are asleep. They don't get a chance to take their kids to school, help them with homework, see recitals, all those things that they miss because they're trying to put on the best performance for you. So when you see these men off the field, again, I'll repeat myself, as long as they are not getting in trouble, these men have earned this. These men deserve this. So don't get on the internet and start talking stupid and crazy about, man, what Bo Gallup doing in Miami? I don't care how you may see like how he's played. He's put in the time, energy, and effort at practice in the film room. He deserves to be wherever he's at for 2 days or 3 days, however long they get off from Mike McCarthy, because that's that's a part of the business, man. So relax on that and let you guys get away from it. You how about that? How about you get away from the game for a second? Let your mentals and dentals rejuvenate and come back after the bye refreshed and ready to finish out this year.
That's real. I mean, what you're saying is real with the players too, but I think fans, especially our fans, because everything is hyper extended. Like everything is just magnified to the umpteenth degree, whether it be a win or a loss, and then sometimes the loss is within a win. And I said this, and I say it again. Some people still may giving up on the season. Season's over. I'm checked out. And I said, look, I don't think it's healthy then for you to really wrap yourself around the season. If you are season's over, I'm checked out, everything sucks, and then you're online, Twitter fingering and keyboard warrioring and raging out and going into all the chats and screaming at everybody and calling to the shows and screaming at everybody. Like it's not like it ain't good for your health. So you might want to take a step back for a few days, whether you're with this or you're not with it. But I'm dead serious about it. Sometimes some of the things you see online is just concerning. Like, why so serious? You know what I'm saying? Like, why are you so mad at the rest of the world for this game? I get we're frustrated for it, but you're going to an entirely different degree. So I'm with you. Maybe you need to take a step back, man. And some people have. Some people said, for my mental health, I'm chilling. I applaud you. Straight up, I applaud you. It's better than calling people B's and C's and all this crazy things on the internet. And I've seen some off-the-wall things, but I'm learning social media has changed fandom, and it's a moving target. So I'm still trying to figure that out myself, Jesse.
Yeah, man. I do my best to love on those that love on me, to block those that got crazy things to say, and just keep it pushing, man. I'm always reminded 90% of social media is not even real.
It's not real. No.
It's not even real. Those that I know and I love, like I said, I love on them. Those that I don't know who want to act crazy and wild, I just block you and not even have to deal with you like that anymore. But you really have to just kind of check yourself a little bit. This is I try to remind people, like, however you feel, right, about a player, whether you're trying to defend a player, whether you're trying to diss a player, at the end of the day, said player has no idea that you exist. He doesn't. I'm just telling you, for the most part, he does not. So if you're saying something crazy or saying something nice, it doesn't matter. He when he goes to Cabo, he's not thinking about you. He's laid up next to somebody that really loves him and adores him, and she probably smell good. So that's where the focus is. So you have to just kind of just weigh this thing on an even scale, man. Just no need to get on this net to get on Oprah Winfrey's internet and act the way that y'all be acting sometime over football men, over other grown men that don't know you actually exist.
Get off of Al Gore's internet with this rage.
For real, man. Let that go, man. Bill Clinton internet
ain't
is
good
wild,
for you, man.
For real.
It ain't good for you. But look, man, great post game show. Dallas Cowboys get the dub. BT Furniture post game show 20-17. Make sure y'all tune in all this week as we cover everything from top to bottom and go into this bye week feeling much better after a victory, and then coming out of it, big game. It doesn't stop. You ain't getting no break until possibly the Panthers, and I hate to even call that a break because I don't give a dang if they 0-8. We've seen in this league, you can be pushed by anybody. So Rams coming up after the break. Everybody enjoy this bye week, whether you tune in or you don't. Enjoy this bye week. You got the dub, and let's come back and go hard as a fan the right way, Jesse. The right way. With that said, I'm going to get out of here. But, yeah, I'm about to say, we get a flex this week.
Yeah.
We get a flex this week.
Yeah. We get the flex this week, baby.
It's back.
Yeah.
All right, man. We out of here.
I'm in my zone, on the road to the Super Bowl. Every game on the schedule crucial and take a toll. It don't matter if we at home or on the road. You try to tackle, I'll truck a sucker and take it soul. I'm staring at 4th and goal, gotta find an open hole. A linebacker just close a hole where I was supposed to go. So now I'm thinking my centers are all pro, so I trust